Hi, Paul Arnold here, sometimes known as the Stuttering Professor, and today I want to talk to you about managing people. And in particular, I want to talk to you about managing through the power of coaching skills. And why do I want to talk about this? Because actually, from my experience as a trained coach, it's such a profoundly powerful way of really helping your staff to grow. And I think one of the things you've got to realize is that now you've been made a manager, you are no longer necessarily the expert in that particular skill. You've got to learn to let go and let other people take that skill, because you have now got to take on the role as being the expert in people and the expert about developing your staff and getting the best out of them. And therefore, I want you to start seeing yourself as being a gardener of talent. Your job is to till the soil, get rid of all the nasty stones, make sure there's lots of healthy nutrients in the soil, and help these little seedlings of people you got working for you to grow, to realize their potential and become absolutely amazing. And you know, this is your route to success, because you know there are too few really good managers out there. And once the world spots that you're a really good manager, you know what? They're going to give you more people to go and manage and develop. And then they're going to give you a department. Then they're going to give you a country. Then they're going to give you a region. You know, and literally the world is your oyster once you learn the fundamental art about how do you help other people grow and blossom and get the best out of them. You know what? And don't be scared about, oh yeah, but people are going to be pushing through me. Look, the truth is, if people do push through you, they're always going to be pushing through you, and just wave and just say, well done. And actually, you know what? They will never forget that you were one of the persons who actually believed in them and helped them grow. So I think, you know, when you think about managing through coaching, I really think, you know, let's look at all the role models that we've got out of sports coaching. You know, and what do they do exactly the same within the business world? You know, and I think one of the things they do is they spot the talent. They start realizing, you know what, Pete's really good at that, less good at that, and Josephine is really good at that, but less good at that. And let us help, you know, to take the good to great thing. Let us work on what we are naturally good at, and let's build that muscle up and make them become super outstanding at that particular thing. And then exactly what a sports coach does is they believe in you. They almost believe in your talent even more than you do. So they keep reminding you, look, you're really good at this stuff. And the reality is that if you've got someone who's senior to you, who's actually saying you're really good at something, you think, my God, I really am good at this. And it's so nice in an organization to have someone who believes in you and who supports you and wants to get the best out of you. You know, and once you've got that reputation, people will walk on water for you. They'll do whatever they can to help you. But having done that, what a sports coach does is they then push you. They get you out of your comfort zone and they make you go into your stretch zone. And they sort of encourage you to run that little bit further, to go for that tackle a little bit more. You know, and that's exactly what we've got to go and do with our people in the business world. You've got to make them do the presentation, make them do that analysis, make them look after that project. But actually, because we're pushing them out of their comfort zone into their stretch zone, not into their stress zone, we've actually got to support them. Make sure they've got the resources they need to have, the training they need to have. Make sure we give them the emotional support they need to do, because they're going to might be fearful. Like, can I really do this? Yeah, of course you can. I'm here to help you. You know, and every now and again they fall down. Doesn't matter. Pick them up, put your arm around them, and say, look, you can still do this. You know, everyone falls. And then at the end, you've got to celebrate with them their success, because you're as part to help them get there. You know, and the fundamental thing why we're doing this is because, you know, we've got to teach people to stand on their own 2 feet. We've got to make them become independent, that they are self-determining sort of people now. They've got to find their own solutions and not just be force-fed them. And they've got to be good at making decisions. And in much the same way, we've got to stop giving them fish. We've got to teach them how to fish. So therefore they become autonomous, you know, professionals in their own right who can go on and do that stuff. And you know, the more they're doing that stuff, the more it means that you don't have to go and do it. So therefore you can focus upon developing more and more of your other people. And clearly it's really motivating for them. You know, exactly as when someone believed in you, you know, and trusted you. Boy, oh boy, did that build your confidence and your self-belief and made you go on and push yourself and realize you're so much more than what you first thought you were. And that's a really powerful thing. So how do you do it? Look, the most important thing you've got to do is you've got to learn to ask, not tell. You know, if you take nothing else out of this video, just the one simple principle: stop telling people, start asking them. Start getting their points of view about this stuff. And so some very clear stages that we go through. Look, the very first thing you've got to do is you've got to ask them about them getting a well-formed outcome, a very clear definition of the project, the task, whatever it happens to be. You know, so you're asking questions like, so, you know, what will success look like? What are some of the key metrics? You know, what do you think you really want to achieve out of this? So get that very clear and keep asking the questions until you are sure they've given enough clarification. They know what it is. You can even say, what's outside? So what are you not going to go and do? And all the time you're just asking the question and allowing them to go and say something. Now, you know, you may have to keep questioning and keep pushing them to go and do that. But I'd want you to really resist the temptation to say, well, why don't you do it like that? No, stop doing that. You can actually see that in through the questions you ask, but do not directly say, this is what I think you should do. Because all you're doing, you're just counteracting exactly the principle we're trying to go and do. Then the next thing I want to encourage you is to get leverage on it. You know, why is this important for you? What will you achieve if you've gone and done this to make people realize that this is why they should put the effort into it? And then often with any project, there are barriers, and you've got to say, so what do you think the barriers are? And all we're trying to do, we're trying to structure the thinking process through the power of questions. So, you know, what do you think is going to get in the way? Who do you think is for us? Who do you think is against it? What do you think? And then you start saying, well, you know, what do you think you need to do to get that person on side? How are you going to deal with the budgetary issues about that, etc.? And you encourage them by just asking questions, and they come with all the answers. And then you say, right, now, what could be some options? How do you think are some ways you've done it? And get them to come with 3 or 4 different options. The more options, really, the better, without you getting into 33 different options. But because actually then you feel that, there are different ways of doing this, and realize that actually there is always more than one way of doing something. And then having done that, say, that's great. That's right. Are there any other ones you think you could do? You know, what about, how else could you go and do it if you didn't have as much money? Whatever, you can ask questions without telling them. And then you say, right, okay, now you've gone and laid out option A, B, C, D. Tell me what you think the pros and cons of each ones are. You know, what do you think our success rates are going to be for these? You know, and then you get them to do that. And then you start saying, okay, so which one do you think you want to do? Now, if they say one you think is fundamentally wrong, you can still you don't say, I don't think you should do that. You start saying, question, so what do you think the PR fallout of that could be? You know, how do you think the staff are going to respond to that issue? What do you think is going to happen with our timelines to get into the market? So by asking questions, you make them reevaluate, I didn't really think about that. Okay, so now you've thought about that, which of these options do you think is best? And they say, well, what do you think? No, I'm not, it's not for me to decide, you're to decide. And then having made a decision, they say, right, that's the decision. Now you say, right, give me a clear action plan. What are you going to do when? Who are you going to speak to? And when should we next meet? So the onus is always on their side. They've got to do everything. And then when they come back, you start saying, okay, so tell me how it went. Where the problems, what have you delivered? What have you learned? And all things like that. So basically you hold them to their promises, and where they are getting stuck, you just take the coaching process again to go back in again to help them resolve what is the issue they've come up at. So that's the clear stages. Now, the skills you need to have is, I think you need to have very good rapport. You need to have a good relationship with that person. And the fundamental thing you've got to start from is a non-judgmental space. You've got to be supportive. You've got to be for them. We often talk about this concept about being the leader sort of servant. So in other words, we are the leader, but we're in servant to them to help them grow and become amazing. And I think, we've got to take that Gestalt principle about creating a safe space for people to talk in. You need to have that honesty. They say, I don't know about this stuff. So therefore you can really help them. And then I think you've got to be a really good listener, a really active listener. Now, we've all heard about the sort of, the non-verbal communication, about only 7% of communication from the words we use, 38% from the tonality, and 55% from body language. And you've really got to listen with all your senses and really pick up stuff. And I always say about sort of hunt the seam. They're going to say something. They're going to say like, well, probably. So, tell me some more about probably. What do you mean by that? And before you know, we dive down and we find, there's an area of self-doubt or, concern they've got in which we can really help. And just by asking the question again, it allows us to dig a bit deeper, as long as you've been very open and supportive and not seen as being highly judgmental of them. And the last one is that you've got to learn this art of questioning, particularly Socratic questioning, because they are really powerful interventions that help to shape the way they think. So anyway, I hope that's of use and can help you with actually becoming a better manager through the power of coaching. This is something that Mickey and I do quite a lot on. So if you need any help to come into your organization to help train in that area, then by all means contact us at the end of this video. Anyway, good luck with your coaching. Ciao.